Hey everyone, it's Rick Carson and we're at Make Believe Studios, and today we are giving you a free plugin. I recently had the chance to talk to my friend George Hajioannou over at Fantastic Tales of Pro Audio, and he was telling me about how back in the day he had the chance to make a limited edition run of DI boxes with Joe Tarsia from Sigma Sound Studios in Philadelphia. And I just thought it was the coolest story in the world that they were using a custom-made box that they got pretty well known for, not only in Philadelphia, but also New York, and that multiple people were trying to get their hands on these boxes, and that when they came out with their limited edition run, it sold out pretty much instantaneously, and they were pretty hard to get your hands on nowadays. They don't come up for sale in the used market, and the people who have them tend to keep them. So I was excited to check out the box, and George had his own personal box left over, so he sent it over to us. And I'll never forget when we pulled it up on a meter for the first time, because BJ looked at me and he said, "It's everything I've ever wanted to do." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" He said, "It's wire with gain." And I said, "Okay, what exactly do you mean?" And he said, "It's completely flat." And it was almost completely flat, not only throughout the whole, human hearing spectrum, but even wider, especially towards the top end. And what I started to realize the more and more we spent with the box is that's what I think they probably loved about it, is that it didn't color the bass. It was incredibly clean, and it passed low frequency information very, very well, which in the 60s was not the easiest thing to do. So I could understand why it got a reputation. And I asked George to reach out to some of the engineers who utilized this box back in the day and to see if they did anything else to treat the bass while we were coming up with the idea for the plugin. And the majority of them said, well, we tend to use a compressor afterwards, but besides that, it just went straight in the tape machine. And I thought that that was very interesting. There wasn't a ton of EQ going on for those classic sounds. They were just compressing them. And I thought that was very, very cool. So we added a compressor to the DI box. There's one other thing, though, that we added, which is this drive control. And I want to be 100% honest. The drive control pushes the DI box into a realm that you would never typically hit with a, musical level instrument. You're hitting it at plus 24 dB above zero, which is really, really hot line level signal. And when you do that, you start to saturate the transformer core, and it does some interesting things, especially below 100 hertz. And we thought that was very, very cool. Cool enough that we wanted to include it in the plugin for you guys to experience. So this is actually something that's new for the plugin, and we hope that you guys enjoy it. And we really want to thank our good friend George and Joe Tarsia for bringing this out originally, because we think it's really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit this drive control pretty hard. And you can hear that you just get a nice little saturation to your low end that wasn't there before. It's very subtle, but we love it, and we think it's great for the time period. It's just got a very awesome 60s sound, in my opinion. The next thing I want to talk about is this compressor. So I'm going to go ahead and turn up the compressor a little bit and rein in these transients. And I think that sounds really, really great. It keeps the low end intact, and it does a good job of bringing the high frequency information of the bass forward. Now let's go ahead and use a lot of drive with this compressor, and you'll hear that the compressor will bring up some of that low frequency distortion that we're generating from drive. While the Sigma Sound Studios DI may be on the subtler side of processors, I think it does a lot to help a bass guitar and a lot of instruments stand out in a mix. So try it on a bass, try it on a vocal, and please let us know what you think. Thank you so much for checking it out, and we hope you have a great day.